SCP personnel found A6 began acting increasingly unsettled, rapid and shallow breathing, aversion to light, and increased in body temperature. It began violently tearing at its skin. It displayed a considerable amount of distress upon realizing its skin was sloughing off, but appeared unable to stop until its head were detached from its body. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a SCP Foundation Keter-class object, SCP-939. SCP-939, also known as with many voices, are endothermic pack-based predators. The skins of 939 are highly permeable to moisture and translucent red. 939 averagely are 2.2 meters tall when standing upright and weigh an average of 250 kilograms, though weight is highly variable. Each of their 4 limbs end in 3-fingered claws, with a 4th opposable digit, and are covered in seta, which considerably augment climbing ability. Their heads are elongated, devoid of even vestigial eyes or eye sockets, and contain no skull. The jaws of 939 are lined with red, faintly luminescent fang-like teeth. Their teeth can grow up to 6 centimeters. Eye spots sensitive to light and dark run the length of their spine dorsal ridges. These spines may be up to 16 centimeters long and are believed to be sensitive to changes in air pressure and flow. 939's respiratory system is atrophied, but they can exhale minute traces of an aerosolized Class C amnestic, which designated as AMN-C227. AMN-C227 causes temporary anterograde amnesia, inhibiting memory formation for the duration of exposure, plus an average of 30 minutes. It is colorless, odorless, and tasteless. It has been reported that after being separated from the environment full of AMN-C227, subject will have sensations of disorientation and mild hallucination. Subject is usually killed with a single bite to the cranium or neck. Bite forces have been measured in excess of 35 MPa. 939's primary method of luring prey is the imitation of human speech in the voices of prior victims, though imitation of other species and active nocturnal hunts have been documented. They have been documented imitating victims' voice despite never hearing the victim speak. SCP-939 vocalizations often imply significant distress. Whether 939 understand their vocalizations or are repeating previously heard phrases is the subject of ongoing study. Analysis of 939 vocalizations cannot distinguish between 939 and samples of known victims' voices. The use of biometric voice recognition security or identification systems at any installation housing 939 is strongly discouraged for this reason. A log of radio traffic between capture teams during their initial contact with 939 was transcribed and documented. In the initial contact between the capture team and 939, 3 subordinate fire teams, Trapper 1, 2, and 3, were sent out to the outskirts for an inspection following the disappearance of a Foundation field agent. After moments of inspecting the area, Trapper 1 reported to on-scene commander that they smelled something rotten, and they also found some shredded clothing. While Trapper 1 was about to head back up, they heard someone calling for help. According to the transcript of radio traffic, it seems that 939 imitated the human voice and successfully lured Trapper 1. Unfortunately, Trapper 1 was annihilated, and finally, Trapper 2 and 3 had to use large VX gas bombs to control 939. SCP-939 have no apparent physiological need to feed, nor any way to digest consumed tissue. Ingested material typically accumulates in the respiratory system of SCP-939 and is regurgitated once the amount is sufficient to markedly inhibit its function. Despite the absence of many vital organ systems, SCP-939 are capable of bearing live young. According to the documents, one of the 939, named SCP-9391, gave birth to 6 specimens following a gestation period of roughly 12 months, numbered SCP-939-A1 to SCP-939-A6. 939-A1, A4, and A5 were male, while A3 and A6 were female. SCP-939-A2 was stillborn and immediately cannibalized by SCP-9391. When the Foundation personnel took its offspring away from it, it did not show any resistance. 4 of the newborns were dissected by the Foundation personnel and found no difference between these newborns and human infants. Only 939-A6 was kept for observation as it matures. On September 1, 2001, personnel found A6 began acting increasingly unsettled, rapid and shallow breathing, aversion to light, and increased in body temperature. A6 was then transferred into a reinforced concrete containment cell. 939A6 immersed itself in the provided water basin. Minutes later, it was transferred and remained motionless for about 41 hours, at which point it began violently tearing at its skin. It displayed a considerable amount of distress upon realizing its skin was sloughing off, but appeared unable to stop until its head were detached from its body. It appeared morphologically identical to, albeit much smaller than, SCP-9391. After the incident, SCP-939A6 was renumbered as SCP-939101 and then transferred to Bioresearch Area 12 for further study. SCP-939101 is now dismembered, and it's stored in cryogenic preservation tanks. But these tissue fragments are still not dead, and sometimes they will ramble and plea for release. The alarm lights blared throughout the cold halls of Site-118, bathing everything in an oppressive red glow. Hollow steps rang out across the metal floor as site security officers ran to and fro. Gunfire and desperate screams for help echoed through the endless chambers, interrupted by monstrous roars, deafening as they passed. Siggy heard none of that, however. When she woke up, the first thing that Siggy noticed was the darkness and the dead silence. She summoned her wand and whispered. Instantly, the tip wand glowed with a bright light, enough to illuminate the room. There she saw her drawings, her posters, her nightlight, just as she left it. The doctors didn't touch a thing. Siggy had always wanted to be a part of the fantastic world of Harry Potter. With a flick of her wand, she summoned her hat. With another flick, her clothes transformed into Hogwarts uniform. It gave her newfound sense of bravery. With that, she was ready for an adventure outside of the suffocating cell. She ventured out in the dark hallways of Site-118. It was there in the darkness where she met another fellow resident whom she now called Robo Monkey, an alliance between two anomalies against many more within Site-118. Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a tale from the SCP Foundation. Siggy and Robo Monkey were hungry, and food was amazingly sparse down here in the depths of the site ever since that incident. They'd been living on scavenged goods for the past week, subsisting on nothing but chips and water every few days. And today was no different. Robo had broken yet another vending machine. They sat down around the dim light Siggy had casted on the wand and ate.
The doctors. We must wanna.
Interesting. So you, just want to see her?
Yeah, I just wanna find her again. It's why I like the doctors so much. Lana's the best doctor in the world.
Is Lana your mom or something?
Siggy shook her head.
Lana says my mom died a long time ago, but she says that she'll be my doctor aunt instead, and I like that a lot. She said the other doctors try to keep her away from me because she visits me too much, but she used to find time to visit me sometimes.
You, miss her that much, huh?
Siggy nodded.
Well, let's find her.
Siggy perked up immediately.
Really?
Yeah, of course! That's what best friends do, right?
Siggy got on her knees and jumped forward, wrapping her arms around Robo, saying thank you. Robo smiled, patting her on the back.
Anytime, kid. Anytime.
Help me, a voice wailed in the distance. The two immediately froze, staring at each other as they started to listen. They heard a noisy breath down the hallway, followed by a nearly inaudible growl. Where are you? Siggy mouthed, the reality of their situation sinking in again. He pointed at her hand. Get your spells ready, he mouthed. Then he curled his hands and raised them over his head. I'll scare them. Siggy shook her head vehemently. No, she mouthed. Don't, you'll get hurt. Robo stuck out a thumbs up. Suddenly, the helmet that formed Robo's head morphed into the rotting head of a corpse, his body shrinking down to the dead body's emaciated proportions. His hands turned into claws, his face suddenly becoming infested with maggots. His left arm was gone at the elbow. It was, for all intents and purposes, a perfect recreation of one of the dead doctors in the dark hall.
Don't you sweat it. I'll be fine. Have you forgotten what I am? I was born to be scary and cause as much fear as I can. That's right. I'm what these guys used to call SCP 2006. But no longer. From now on, I'll just be known as Robo Monkey the Terrible. I'll go scare whatever the hell is out there and come back.
Robo, stop! No!
Siggy mouthed urgently, but he ignored her. He creeped forward on unsteady legs, both of his arms drawn up to his sides in an attempt to look scary. He kept his steps silent. He didn't want to give away the surprise. Blood lined the floors of the hall outside, though they were pristine earlier. All of a sudden, Robo began to feel that something was very wrong. He clenched his loose jaw and continued on forward, mindful to keep his steps light on the floor. Ahead of him, he saw the beast. Its back turned to him. It stood on all fours, its skin looking more like a reddish film. It was long, hunched down over the ground, with what he guessed to be its head sniffing the floors. He saw the head as it lifted up with a silent creak, and he saw that it had no eyes. Spines lined its back, with small holes dotting each of them at the base. They seemed to move at random intervals with every second he looked at them. But what unsettled him was the lack of eyes, just flesh and bone where they're supposed to be. Then it turned its head to the side, unhinged its jaw, and out came the voice. "Help me," the creature screamed, its voice a horrible mix of a variety of people, all screaming the same few words. At that moment, Robo felt something that he had never felt before. He felt fear. He couldn't scare this. He never can. He took a step back, and another step, and another step. Slowly, silently, as he fell back to the cafeteria where Siggy waited. Then the creature sniffed the air and turned. Robo froze. He was only a few steps away from the cafeteria. If he can just get to the entrance, he can snatch Siggy and run as fast as his form's legs can take him. But then he looked forward, and the same petrifying horror went through him. The creature was slowly making its way towards him now. Head low, spines held high, red skin glinting in the dim light. Its teeth glowed crimson in the darkness, poking out of its mouth at different angles, long and deadly. "Help me," it screamed, far from the wails it had uttered earlier. "Please." Robo took another step back. "Where are you? Come to me." Just 2 more steps to the cafeteria. Then he stumbled and he fell, a thud sounding out on the floor. A terrible, critical mistake.
Run, Siggy!
Robo yelled, hoping that his voice will reach Siggy through the darkness. The creature screamed, its mimicry of its last victims turned into roars. Robo came to his feet immediately, running as fast as he could in the opposite direction of the cafeteria. He could hear the monstrous footfalls pounding the ground behind him, ear-piercing screams slicing through the air from the creature's outstretched mouth. He willed his legs to be faster, to reinforce with more muscle and sinew to spur him forward and leave it behind. He ran through the hall, past endless rooms, down dark corridors. Still in pursuit, screaming, crying, pleading for him to stop. Then he saw it, a room just to his left, a sign saying archives. He crashed through it with all of his might, bringing down his entire weight on the door. It gave way with a mighty crash, collapsing to the floor just as the creature went right past it, its momentum carrying it forward. Robo took the chance he needed to dive behind one of the desks on his right, making sure his body was small enough to not be seen. He felt his body slowly morphing back into his monkey form as it did. He waited. Was it gone? Then he heard them. Footfalls, heavy. He peeked from behind the desk, watching it as it came through the doorway. It was on 2 feet now, its spindly front limbs not legs but arms, each tipped with 4 petrifyingly long claws. It sniffed the air, and with a long breath, it screamed, the outlines of its breath carrying an outline through the darkness. "Come to me!" He peeked out of where he was hiding. There was something lurking, spines in the air sniffing for him, hunting him. Then he saw, nearly imperceptibly, a sign of movement. There was a little girl, wearing a silly hat.
Robo Monkey?
Robo heard Siggy's casting of the light spell, as well as the monster's footfalls, continuing almost certainly towards the girl outside. Robo immediately jumped out of cover. The beast was already in front of Siggy, hunching down, pacing right and left, as if studying its prey.
No! Run, Siggy!
As the light illuminated the beast's faceless head, its jaw open wide, lined with sharp, long teeth, Siggy stumbled a few steps backward. "Help me!" A look of shock and confusion washed over her face.
Lana?
No, that thing ain't human. That ain't Lana. Run, Siggy!
The beast began to sprint forward towards Siggy.
Linus!
She pointed her wand at it and unleashed a flash of blinding beam that for a moment illuminated the surrounding horrors that befell the facility. The beam blasted the beast, causing it to twitch and yelp. Robo rushed towards Siggy and shielded her against the struggling beast. "Help me!" It screamed, now feeble. Then it was silence. The last voice Siggy could recognize as family was forever gone. Through the silence, Robo could hear Siggy's sobbles.
It's okay, kid. It's okay. You're safe now.
He could hear Siggy's choking and repeated muttering of Lana's name.
I killed Lana!
Robo pulled back, hands firmly gripping Siggy's shoulder.
No, Siggy, that thing's not Lana. It's not human at all. It's...
Siggy looked down, defeated. Robo then looked at the dead beast, then at the crying girl who couldn't stop staring at it with a blank expression. He realized that it was her first time using that spell.
I've never casted that spell before. Lana wouldn't let me.
I'm sorry, kid. You did what you had to do, Siggy. Now we've got to go.
Robo gently wiped her tears before picking up her wand, still lit, and gave it to her.
You're a strong girl, Siggy. You can do this.
Siggy wiped her face and took the wand, then sniffed one last time.
Okay, Robo Monkey. Let's go on an adventure right out of here.
SCP-049 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the Pestilence, though will usually seek to then perform a crude surgery on the corpse. These surgeries are often result in the creation of instances of SCP-0492. So this so-called plague doctor, how many was it really kills? And how terrifying will it be? Hello everybody, I'm TheRubber. Today, we bring you a SCP Foundation Euclid class object, SCP-049. In SCP Foundation, which SCP is your favorite? Let us know in the comment below. SCP-049 is a humanoid entity, roughly 1.9 meters in height, weight 95.3 kilograms, which bears the appearance of a medieval plague doctor. While it appears to be wearing the thick robes and the ceramic mask indicative of that profession, the garments instead seem to have grown out of its body over time, and are now nearly indistinguishable from whatever form is beneath them. X-rays indicate that despite this, 049 does have a humanoid skeletal structure beneath its outer layer. While SCP-049 is generally cordial and cooperative with Foundation staff, it can become especially irritated or, at times, outright aggressive if it feels that it is in the presence of what it calls the Pestilence. 049 will become hostile with individuals it sees as being affected by the Pestilence. If left unchecked, it will generally attempt to kill any such individual. It is capable of causing all biological functions of an organism to cease through direct skin contact. How this occurs is currently unknown. There was one record show 049 quickly closed the distance between the subject, killing the subject with a touch of its throat. 049 has expressed frustration or remorse after these killings, indicating that they have done little to kill the Pestilence, though will usually seek to then perform a crude surgery on the corpse using the implements contained within a black doctor's bag it carries on its person at all times. While these surgeries are not always successful, they often result in the creation of instances of 0492. 0492 instances are reanimated corpses that have been operated on by 049. These instances do not seem to retain any of their prior memories or mental functions, having only basic motor skills and response mechanisms. While these instances are generally inactive, moving very little, and in a generally ambulatory fashion, they can become extremely aggressive if provoked, or if directed to by 049. Despite these alterations, 049 often remarks that the subjects have been cured. SCP-049 was discovered during the investigation of a series of unknown disappearances in the town of Montauban in southern France. During a raid on a local home, investigators found several instances of 0492 as well as 049. While law enforcement personnel engaged the hostile 0492 instances, it was noted as watching the engagement and taking notes in its journal. After all of the 0492 instances were dispatched, 049 willingly entered Foundation custody. 049 has spent a considerable amount of time studying and performing surgery on the various mammalian corpses it has been provided. It will routinely spend several days performing surgery, and then, regardless of whether or not the corpse becomes an instance of 0492, spending several more days documenting its findings in a thick leather journal stored within its doctor's bag. It will often seek to share its findings with members of Foundation staff. According to one record, 049 spent several days operating on the orangutan, reanimating it several times. However, 049 appeared to be discontent with the results it experienced, returning to the creature 3 times after its initial reanimation for additional work. After it was unable to reanimate the corpse a 5th time, 049 turned the corpse over to Foundation staff for incineration. As time goes by, on April 16, 2017, as Dr. Raymond Ham was entering SCP-049's test chamber to conduct another routine interview, the entity began to grow anxious and asked Dr. Ham if he was feeling well. Following protocol, Dr. Ham reminded 049 that the interview was required, after which the entity became hostile and attacked Dr. Ham, killing him. Due to a lapse in security protocol and because Dr. Ham did not activate the in-chamber emergency system, Dr. Ham's corpse was not discovered until 3 hours later, by which point 049 had converted it into an instance of 0492.